All right, guys, what's up? I'm joined here with Austin Hogue. He's in the member of the Structure U. He's been in for probably since about the beginning. And also, I was just as we got on here, I was apologizing to Austin because there's so many times where I just I put something out there and he's always like the first one that says I'm in. He was part of the first Structure U retreat. Just everything I've done, he just always said, heck yes, let's do it. And so I'm very appreciative of him. And so we're just gonna get on here and have a little chat. So Austin, whereabouts where are you from? And what do you do?
I grew up in Tuscola, Illinois, town of about 3,500 when I grew up and went to high school, and now it's ballooned up to about 5,000 people, but it's about 30 minutes south of Champaign. Went to high school there, graduated, and I was looking right out of high school. I was kind of undecided really what I wanted to go into, learn, become. Sports was always a big influence in my life. So for me, it was about, okay, where can I play a sport at a college? And that's actually what landed me at Eastern Illinois. It was kind of the only basketball program that showed interest at a kind of Division I level. So it wasn't really an easy road to get onto the team. But when I did go to Eastern, we got an invited walk on there. And they had seen me through summer camps and other just coming down to watch me play and stuff. But it was a tough go. You get to college and there's just everybody is everybody's 6'6" and above that you're playing against, and so there's no more little OCA competition.
No, yeah.
And it got real quick, and being kind of the guy had to earn his spot. It meant a lot of hard work right out of the gates. So kind of got a tangent there. Graduated from Eastern in 2007, and I started working for Brown Russo Construction in Champaign, which is just a construction management company. And we do, I got into construction estimating, project management. Did that for about a year and a half, and then we kind of hit this 2008 downturn in the economy with construction market kind of crashed. And I went and worked for a sporting goods company in Champaign, which was a track and field basketball manufacturing facility in Champaign for 5 years. And I was able to kind of use some crossover from what I had learned in my construction career in the actual sporting realm. So that was a really neat fit for me. Deep down, I wanted to get back into construction because I felt that's what I was most interested in. So I did get the opportunity in 2014 to go back to the company I started with, Brown Russo Construction.
Really?
And I've been there ever since, and kind of doing the same thing, project management, estimating, and met my wife, and her and I got married, met while we were in Champaign, and we moved to St. Joe, and so now we're living in St. Joe. I've got a 5-year-old Hudson. He's my boy. I call him my little man, but he's growing he's growing like a weed, kind of like his dad. And then my little girl, my princess Harper, she's 3 years old. And have a daughter, it changes a little bit inside, so she's my pride and joy. So yeah, we've been living in St. Joe now for about 3 years. So
That's awesome.
Love the area. We've always, my wife's from Oakwood, and just growing up in small towns, we felt like, Champaign was good for a lot of the activities and stuff we wanted to be in, but both of us growing up in a small community school, we kind of wanted to keep that trend going. So we started picking schools around Champaign. We landed in St. Joe. So
nice.
Yeah,
That's a nice little area. And they always got some good sports programs too.
I'm still not quite used to it. I'm a Tuscola Warrior at heart. And,
that's true.
To put that maroon and blue and whatever the school colors are here, I guess I'm going to learn pretty quick. But I love the community. Everybody, there are a lot of people here in town that have moved from Tuscola, so I know some of them, and everybody's just super friendly. It'll be done some t-ball coaching and try and volunteer here in town where we can, and it's a strong community, and that's really what we both were going for. So
that's awesome. And now fatherhood, how's fatherhood treating you? And I already know some of these questions because we're together sometimes, but is there anything like it?
Man, I'll be honest with you. trying to think of a good way to put this. So, everybody knows like love of yourself, of people, you think you have a high school, college girlfriend, you're in love. Man, you really don't understand like the deep level of love you can have for a human being until you hold a child for the first time, your own child. And I get chills thinking about it, just spending the time with the family. I always try and make the time for the kids. Work can be demanding at times, but my wife and I are pretty good at just kind of shutting that off when it's time to focus on the kids. Um, Family runs deep with me. My parents are still close. Both parents still living. My brother also moved back to Central Illinois, and my in-laws and my sister-in-law. My in-laws live in Oakwood, so they're 20 minutes away. And my sister-in-law lives right down the road. So we have a lot of family support around us. So that I feel like keeps my wife and I's marriage healthy. We're able to go do things, ask for sitters, see the family a lot. So that helps me be a better father. When you're not just stressed all the time, you can kind of lean on some of your support system around you to really put the quality time that your kids deserve. Because I mean, I'm blink, and I know you know the same thing, Mike, with your kids. It's like you blink, and it's I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old, and
Yeah.
it goes by fast. 18, they're going to be looking at moving out of the house. So
Yeah, and
just
you're gonna
trying to
think,
make
they're
Mhm.
over a third, it's just crazy how fast time goes. And that's why I'm really attracted to you, just as a person, because
Yeah.
the family means so much to you and myself as well. And it's like, whenever we can bounce ideas off of each other, we're in a couple group text messages where
Hmm.
the guys that went to the structure retreat, and we hold each other accountable. We're family oriented, and we want the best for each other. And so being part of a group like that has really helped me out too. And seeing the things that you do with I mean, I don't have it out here with me, but my habit journal now, I have pictures of my family in
Yeah.
there because you have that. I'm like, that is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. No, and I think what spurred that, it's funny. Yeah, I had it out here in front of me earlier. I was going to go
Yes.
back and get my habits checked off for the day because I knew you talking about it. It is, man. It's my backdrop on my computer. I'm at work, and I keep them close by, and everybody talks about their why, their why in life, and that's one of those things I wrote in the very front of my journal was, build their future and honor the family. So when we're long gone, we're gonna have our kids. Really our goal is to raise good humans. We don't have
100%.
any control. We don't have any control of what the world's going to be like in 20 years, but we just hope that us as fathers, you raise and pass on some of what you were taught as from your parents. Some of the life lessons you learn, and that's really for first and foremost for me is raising my kids in a way that I'd be proud. And I know they're going to want to make me proud someday. So hopefully it comes full circle. And I, being a father, um, I will say it's really brought a lot of appreciation and perspective to how I was raised with my parents. My mother is full South Korean. My father was military, met while he was stationed in Korea. So she moved here with my dad, and they learn English there, but it's not like fluent in high school. And she came here with my dad, and there was times when she was working 2 and 3 jobs when my brother and I were in school. My dad was, he once he was out of the military, he went and worked for the post office, so he had a good job all through us growing up. But I can just remember, and it's you see these things later in life when you're going through it. You don't really, in the moment, you don't really appreciate
Yeah.
the volume and everything that you're getting from your folks and just your support system. But it really does drive it home. It makes me want to be a better father, and I try and make sure, you want to make sure your parents know that you appreciate your upbringing from them. So I always try, anytime I can give Big Ken and Suni a shout out, I always do.
That's
You know,
awesome.
they're the reason I am who I am today. So
I really appreciate that. And I know what you did for your mom for Christmas. Um,
Yeah,
that little gift you gave her. And I hope my mom doesn't listen to
yeah,
this, because that's my on my next to-do list for her. But
yeah.
just, he was able to send his mom a message saying, this is an invitation for a father mother date. And I'm like, dude,
Mhm.
that's so incredible and so
Yeah,
thoughtful that I'm stealing that. I
yeah,
just haven't had the opportunity to yet. So good for you. That's so
yeah.
cool.
It's a good one. And when you get older, it's not about the material possessions. It's more about the memories. And I know some people will, for children, younger children, you can buy them 1,000 toys, but um, let's go out and let's camp in the backyard. Let's go out. Let's go camping. Let's go to a sporting event, something that they're going to remember instead of just a gift. Make those memories. So whenever I was scratching my head, it seems like every year for my mom, I'm just like, I don't know, I don't know what to get for her, and it's just, I know that she appreciates those sentimental type gifts more so than if I was to get her, a bottle of wine or something,
For
so
sure. That's really
it
cool.
goes a lot further. Yeah.
Yep. And too, I think too, when you think about spending time with your kids, here recently I had a conversation with a guy who's very successful, and he's a little bit older, but I said, when did you realize, because he traveled around the country and around the world for his sales position. I said, like, when was enough enough? Because you had all the money. He's like, it was enough whenever I had young kids. I woke up one day and I put my feet on the floor, and I didn't know if I was in Japan, China. I didn't even know where I was at. And it was my son's
Yeah.
birthday. He said, I got to get back. And
Mm.
excuse me, I had a conversation with him. I said, I feel like at this point in my life, I could probably be making more money, but dude, I get so much quality time with my kids that's more important to me right now, because
Mm-hmm.
we're driving 45 minutes one way to take them to school. And that's 45 minutes of uninterrupted time I get with my two girls of a morning to spend with them. Usually they don't want to talk to
Mm-hmm.
me, but still I'm with them. I'm in the presence of them, and they don't have tablets or the DVD player. So they've got to listen to me talk, or we listen to something, inspirational on the radio. But dude, that quality
Yeah,
time, I can't get enough of it.
it is. It's super important, man. It's just right now. Everybody goes through seasons in life, and kind of I feel like we're close enough in age now that in our early 20s it was graduate college, get a job, work hard, have fun, try and climb the ladder, maybe in the career that you're working in. Um, that's why it's important for me that for what I do for work, they're very Rowan is very family core value
Oh, nice.
oriented. So a lot of the things that you might be tied to a desk or tied to 100% on call type deal. It's for them they understand people go through seasons of lives, and right now it's I've got young kids and they've all been through it, and it's really cool because there's a lot of dads in the company that are kind of around the same age as me too. So sharing the stories. Hey man, what'd you do? Your kids, you guys get through the COVID season
Mm,
here with the kids and school, and
yo,
so um, it's very important to me. You obviously you always want to be successful in business, but right now it's kind of a season in life where I can really be self-aware enough to know, feeding off the nonverbal energy I'm getting from my wife on a nightly basis. Hey, I could tell you're just worn down. Hey, let me take the kids. Let's go get ice cream real quick, kids. Give mom a 45 minutes or something to herself just to reset, recharge. Um, and for me, it's important that you have to be doing something that you love that has a little flexibility so that you can spend time. Because, like I said, in 15 years, it's going to be empty nest, and really,
hmm,
devote that time to your marriage, back into your business, retirement, maybe a beach somewhere. I don't know.
yo, that's awesome. And just that thoughtfulness of, if your wife, let's go get some ice cream, let's give mom some time. I think that's so important
Yeah.
for our wives too, because like, I
Mm-hmm.
know my wife, she takes a lot of the brunt of the wife duties, which
Yeah.
years ago that's how it was all the time. But I think times have changed, and I feel like if we're a
Mm-hmm.
family, I don't if I come home, I don't expect to just sit on the couch all night. Like, if there's dishes or laundry to be done, like, I'm helping out. I'm helping with the kids' baths. Like, we're a
Mm-hmm.
team. We're going to be doing this together. It's not just I'm going to come home, crack open a beer, and turn on the TV.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
assume you're the exact same way.
Yeah, 100%. I just in preparation for this, we usually put our kids down about 8. So knowing that tonight, just little things like, hey, girls playing around, just playing with their dolls, like, hey, let's go brush your teeth a little bit earlier. Let's get your jammies on. Because I
Yep.
knowing it, I didn't want to just, all right, honey, go put the kids to bed. I'll be out here talking. And so, there's a lot of things and over time they can add up, and they can also go in the reverse. If you let things fester, you might get yelled at for, not saying this has ever happened to me, but if things fester, you're always leaving your clothes out. You're always leaving dirty dishes in the sink. It just creates that unwanted tension. Just go that extra. I think one of my habit tracker things is complete at least 1 or 2 chores a day. That could be folding laundry or putting the dishes away or cook dinner. Pack a lunch. Just little things like that. You just kind of make it a habit, and it's better for everybody when you guys are working in a marriage as a partnership as opposed to just a roommate, type
Yes.
situation. So
Exactly. And like she just wants to know that I care most of the time. Like, even if I'm like, hey, is there something I can help you with? Most times she'll say no, but as long as she knows that I care, and like she's like, that helps me out, makes me feel better. I'm like, all right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And we did the whole
100%,
love
man.
languages thing, and I realized that my acts of service really doesn't rank high on her stuff. So I'm like, I could go with not doing these things, but also, like you said, man, it's a partnership, and I want to do it together. I want it to be a good example to my kids to see, because my daughters are 8 and 6, my son's 5. So yeah, I want to be a good example. And now they're getting a little bit older to where they get to do some chores, and so they're learning
There
some
you go.
responsibility. I told my daughter the other day, I'm like, you should thank me when I give you a chore, because you're learning responsibility. So I said the other day, I'm like, we put these clothes away. She's like, thank you, Daddy. I was like, yes. And then my wife's like, let's not go too far with that. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
But
Another thing that I think is great for you guys, and maybe this is a good segue into the health and fitness type stuff, but I'll see on the CrossFit 217 there, you guys go and you work out together. It's when you're doing things like that, it just continues to build a strong bond with your spouse.
for sure.
And that was a major reason I kind of jumped on the cycling and spin bike, the Peloton app to set a goal, is because like I know, being kind of an athlete growing up, it was always working out wasn't necessarily to keep my health and fitness. It's just because I wanted to be better at what I was doing. And then when you get out of a sport, or you get out of something that you had just been kind of drilled into year after year after year, you kind of lose focus of, I don't really want to do that. I was able to get with a group of guys in Muhammad at No Limit Fitness and do some working out at CrossFit style workouts for about 3 or 4 years. Really enjoyed that atmosphere, the camaraderie. Then we moved to St. Joe. It's a little far away, and I kind of lost really the motivation to kind of stay healthy. Jessica said, well, I've always wanted to get a spin bike. So I said, let's go ahead. She wanted to do the Peloton. She's like, I feel guilty for spending this much money on something like that. I'm like, honey, we're spending that money on spin class anyway at the refinery, many dollars a class. It's like, let's put the money into something we've got here. And, I have goals. I tell you what, that girl works her butt off. She has, I think she had cleared like 3 years, like a weekly goal, 3 years worth. Every week she's been on the bike, but she also has a minutes goal, like I do, but she's been on it longer than I have.
That's awesome.
So me getting into this is also to keep each other accountable. I have my guys and everything in the group, and my accountability partner here in town, Ty, he and I are constantly on each other about, hey, did you get on today? Did you not? Where you at on your weekly goals? So
that's awesome.
Me being in the house, helping her along her health journey, and me just trying to stay connected and motivated to actually continue to work out on something is huge.
Yeah, because I know that your goal for last year was like 10,000 minutes throughout the year.
Yeah. So it kind of all was spurred along, like I said, not only by my wife working out all the time, but for me, I think it was like right at the beginning of 2021. I had just come off of a spell of COVID. Luckily, it was just a mild one. And I went in and I was getting some sort of follow-up echocardiogram from a heart scan I had years ago. Albeit it was just for like a life insurance thing that my wife wanted to get cleared up. And I go in there like, hey, you know, there's something here that showed up, and we want you to come back in, you know, 3 or 4 months. We recommend you do more cardiovascular exercise, change your diet. And for me, I was like, heart doctor's telling me to do some cardio. Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point, you know, right at the beginning of the year, I was like, all right, I need to set a goal here that I'm going to stick to. So started thinking, he's like, you should be doing, you know, 30 minutes of some sort of exercise a day. And I was like, okay. So kind of did the quick math, 300 and some days a year, 30 minutes, like, okay, that's close enough to 10,000. Let's do that. So, I mean, it just kind of, when you set it as a habit and you check the box on your habit tracker every day, it comes easier. But I will say that, you know, the week starts Sunday to Sunday. So there's been many Sundays I've been on the bike, you know, trying to grind out a week's a good chunk of the weekly minutes, because we're kind of having flow with it. But
because that's a very 30 minutes a day consistently for 365 days. That's a lot. And like you said, if you're going to get a big chunk of it done in 1 or 2 days, but still, man, that's a tough goal to hit, because you know how many people go to the gym for 30 minutes a day? Probably not every single day, you know, so that's incredible.
Yeah. And the thing I like about the bike is that once you're on it, like, you're exercising. You know, I used to go to the gym and I would, admittedly, I'd go in there and I'd stretch out, I'd shoot the shit with people, and I would, you know, kind of stretch, and then, all right, let's get into the WOD now. And I work out for 10 minutes, hard as I could. And I'm like, all right, let's go, you know. This, you know, it also, I had the opportunity to get an outdoor bike. So, you know, I started doing a little outdoor cycling, connected at the retreat a little bit with Steve Yoder there. And I know he does a lot of mountain biking stuff. So I feel like that could be the start of something fun there too, just getting outdoor. Because in the summer when the weather's a little nicer, I do enjoy getting out and putting the earbuds in and literally just kind of, you know, it's a good reset time. Usually the sun's coming up when I'm getting home in the morning in the summer, so it's just a really good recharge way to start the day. And
that's awesome.
You know, clipping off an hour ride in the morning is much easier than trying to sit at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night or 5:36 on a stationary bike. You know, my daughter calls it, Mommy, Daddy, you gonna go ride the bike that doesn't go anywhere?
That's funny.
So
now, what's your goal for this year?
Yeah. So this year I have some goals, and this year I'm gonna stick with the 10,000 minutes.
Okay.
On top of that, and these minutes will also count on the outdoor, but I'm also gonna try and get 1,000 miles on my outdoor bike. You know, kind of on outdoor rides, which that's new because I didn't really track that last year. Mm-hmm. And I also didn't get the bike until midsummer. So, you know, those minutes that I'm on the bike outdoor, I also want to try to hit a mile goal. So, you know, those are my fitness goals, 20 push-ups a day, something, I know it sounds simple, but just,
well, you know, the old saying, it may sound simple, but it's not easy, because if it were easy, everybody would do it, you know?
Yeah. You know, and I try not to overwhelm myself with too many goals, because, like, okay, put something in there you can attain, because, you know, it's happened before. I get frustrated, I get off course. That's why the 10,000 minute deal, you cannot slack, you know, month to month, you got to kind of stay on top of it. Otherwise you can't just make up 1,000 minutes in a week. You know, you really got to stay on it. So.
And I think you're onto something with not setting too many goals. You probably can't see it back here, but so I mapped out my year to where I did 12 weeks at a time, just 12-week chunks. So I just really broken down to where it wasn't overwhelming. I wasn't thinking I had to do all of this, you know, in a month of January and stuff like that. So I really broke mine down this year. I was reading a book called like the 12-week year or something like that. And so it breaks it down into 4 different sections, 4 different quarters, basically. And so far so good. I mean, we're only 18 days in, but we're doing all right.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, you think about it, you're just a week away from a third of the way into that, right? So
yeah, it's crazy.
So, yeah, I've done that kind of stepped goal thing before too. It's just the same process. You just kind of hone in on it, and really, you don't get too far out there.
Yep.
You know, that's why you got your vision board and your 5 and 10 year stuff. But you know, focus on 3 solid things a day that you want to accomplish. You know, if you got 10 things on a list, you're probably not, you're going to do the easiest 4 or 5, and then the rest of that's going to continue to keep piling on you. So,
you know, and that leads into my next question on, you know, this group is called Structure You. Do you have a structured morning routine? What's your day look like as far as structure goes?
Yeah, man, this is great. So I'm very much a morning person.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of days, my alarm will go off at 4:45, 5 o'clock. This holiday is throwing a little loop, you know, a little wrench into things here. I will say this week has been a little slow for me, but my ideal morning, get up 4:45, 5. Get
You
my
used
gear
to be a
on.
big
If I'm,
snoozer, right?
yeah, I would. You know, it's one of those things. I got out of the habit of sleeping until, you know, 6:37, because in construction, the job sites start up at 7 every day. So it really has to back me up a couple hours before. But I'll get up 4:45, 5. First thing I'll do is I'll grab my pre-workout drink. But I always recommend laying your workout clothes out the night before. Get your pre-workout shake or whatever it is that you have for your morning coffee. Lay that stuff out in an area of the house that maybe is not going to disturb anybody. So you wake up, alarm clock goes off. I start counting down from 10. That's another thing I use is by the time I hit 0, put my feet on the ground. Don't hit the snooze.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome.
Get up. Yeah. So get your feet on the ground and get you moving. Come out to the garage and I'll either do an outdoor or indoor ride. Like I said, the summer times I'll get on my bike and I'll just get out there and start riding. During that time on the bike, if I'm outside and there's not like a class on the screen in front of me or anything, it's just the audio in my headphones. I'll try and maybe listen to a little bit of an audio book or just, you know, a podcast or something like that. And then I get back to my garage. Usually the kids and Jess aren't up yet. It's usually about 6:15, and they're just starting to move around. I'll go through, I'll do my daily devotional read at that time. I'll do my kind of push-ups. And then at that point, I'm charged up. My day's ready to go. And I get about 45 minutes with Jess and the kids, breakfast. And, you know, then it's off to work.
Nice.
So
that's
mornings
a good solid
big.
routine, man.
Yeah, if I miss my mornings, my whole day kind of thrown off. So right now, I like my routine is not as buttoned up as it was, say, you know, middle of the summer. But that's ideal for me. That's exactly what, if I could do that every day.
And, you know, I think whenever you get up early like that, you wake up more, instead of reactionary, it's proactive. You know, how many of us, when you're hitting snooze all the time, you're like, crap, it's 6:30. I need to be out the door in 15 minutes. Where's everything at? But whenever you're waking up proactive like that, it gives you a day. Like you said, you know, my day goes so much smoother. I take the day by the balls and I'm like, time to rock and roll. Like, let's do this thing. I know
that's right.
Personally, like my wife, she's got like, so her alarm goes off at 5. So she goes out to her office outside and she does some stretching, her devotionals. Whereas I usually stay in, I don't tell people this, but I stay in bed and I do most of my reading and get my reading done in my devotionals. And then I immediately hop in a cold shower. I didn't hear you say that part.
So yeah, you know, I'll my water in my shower, the knob's broken, so it'll be cold for about a minute and a half, and then it goes to like lukewarm. So that's about enough for me. Yeah,
that's funny. But yeah, I mean, we both our mornings are non-negotiable, you know, because whenever we do that, dude, the whole day just goes so much smoother. Now, do you guys have an evening? Do you have an evening routine? I'm sure you probably do with the kids, don't you?
Yeah, the evening with the kids, you know, we'll sit down, we'll do dinner as soon as they get home, because it just seems like that's, you know, the best time for them. And then we will, you know, try and keep them off the screen, you know, try and keep the TV down, you know, work, play some board games. Usually about 7:30, we try and start winding them down a little bit. You know, they're both at the age, our son is going to kind of pre-K right now, and our daughter just goes to daycare. So it's not a lot of homework or anything that may see later in life, but we'll get them teeth brushed, try and get them down by about 8:15. And then really, you know, my wife and I, at that point, we try to have a little bit of quality time together. Sometimes that's just watch a show and veg out on the couch. Other times, you know, we just have work to catch up on those things. But
Yep.
ideally, if I'd like to be in bed no later than about 10:30. 10:30's. Stay up any later than that usually makes for a really long morning. So
I don't know how you see 10:30. We're lucky. I mean, so we're like you. We put our kids to bed about 8, and then so like at 8:30, I'm like, well, now what are we gonna do? So either we'll watch a show together, or we'll just go read in bed. And usually I'm in bed by like 9:30.
yeah, yeah. I tell you what, and that's when I'm clicking in the summertime, and my routine's really solid. Is when I start winding down about 9:45, and
Yo,
my wife, she's more of a night owl than I am.
is she?
She'll stay up a little bit later, which I can't blame her. She's like, I 10 o'clock, I just got the kids down. I'm just starting to wind down here. So,
Yo.
yeah.
Now, if we talk anything, and one of the things like I really like about you is that you've just got this. This is completely off topic, but I've always wanted to talk about this with just leadership. Like you said, you went to Eastern Illinois and played ball and did track and field, but there was and I can vividly remember this 3 or 4 times where I'd see you on campus of a night and we'd be out, doing things college kids do, and I'm like, "What's up, Austin?" Because we both went to the same conference and played sports together. So, I always kind of knew you were, I wasn't aware that you knew who I was.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, Austin's, how tall are you? Like 6'10", 6'11"?
I'm like 6'8". I'll give myself 6'8".
Okay,
Yeah.
6'8". But like, dude's a big dude, especially from a small town. And so I would see you on campus. I'm like, "Oh, what's up? There's Austin Hogue." And you had called me out by name, and I'm like, "Dude, I like that guy." And then, as we got older, we weren't friends. Like, we didn't ever hang out or anything like that. But I always just kind of felt like we were, sounds so weird, but just connected. We were friends,
Yeah.
And then we get into Structure U. Next thing you know, I'm like, "Dude, I love this guy. Like, where's he been my whole life?" And then you just got that
I tell you what,
persona
man.
that people are just attracted to you. And I love that about you. And you just got that natural leadership ability.
No, I appreciate that. That means a lot, Mike, coming from you, because I looked up to you the same way when you obviously you kind of took a leap on this group, and when you did and reached out to me, it just takes. It's probably built into our personalities, and we're just outgoing and friendly like that. But it takes courage to just reach out to kind of complete strangers and put yourself out there and say, "Hey, here's my idea. I'm ready to go with this. Let's go." You have to bring the energy to something like that, and we know you have no shortage of energy and charisma on those type of things. But again, just in college, social skills was not something that I lacked in. And good, bad, or indifferent, I forged a lot of really good friendships, and that all goes back to you're not going to grow in things if you don't step out of your comfort zone. Do I like getting up in front of people and talking and 100 strangers go out there and give some sort of a speech? No, I don't really like that, but I do that because one, I want to set a good example for anybody that wants to get up in front of people and just maybe afraid. But why not? Why not? What do you have to lose? People are gonna, "Oh, he's really mumbling and sweating up there." But, you got to take these opportunities to self-improve. And
for somebody that's nervous about doing that, like, what advice do you have to just get out of your comfort zone? Because as well as I do, whenever I'm growing is whenever I'm getting out of my comfort zone. When I'm doing something uncomfortable is when growth happens. Like, if somebody says, "Awesome, well, how do I do that?" What's a piece of advice you give them?
I would say, for one of the founders of the company that I work for, John Russo used to always say, proper preparation prevents poor performance, the 5 P's. So I think if you're nervous about something and you just want to kind of get out of your comfort zone and go, if that's like a speech in front of people, really put yourself in the mirror. I know it sounds silly, but the best public speakers in the world, they don't just show up and go. You think about all the time they spend ahead of time practicing their speech, getting comfortable in front of the mirror, just getting out on stage and talking. I've never done a very large group, but there was a leadership academy that I attended through work, and I was there with 14 strangers. And at the end of it was like every quarter we would meet for 2 days. So at the end of this fourth quarter, the class said, hey, we've got this banquet in front of all of the, I think it was Central Illinois Builders, in front of all of these people with the Central Illinois Builders group. Like, we need one person to kind of speak on behalf of the class, and just everybody's like, you. I'm like, okay, it's like, okay, I'm in, and I did. I practiced and I got
And they
there,
picked
and
you for a
really,
reason too.
sure, it's just one of those things. I don't know. People like to just kind of throw me in the spotlight, and I don't mind. I don't embarrass easily. That
Yeah.
probably helps it too. So, but also, I'll go back to my parents. My parents always say, stay involved, get in Scholastic Bowl, get in chess club, the things that maybe you think, all right, this is boring. Ooh, we went through scouts, all these different activities.
Mm-hmm.
My parents exposed me to just about every activity that was available to us as kids. And we're trying to do the same with our kids, because I think the more places that you can get your kids into, and you can put yourself into situations that maybe you think you'd be uncomfortable in, just builds more confidence.
And not only that, but you're also growing too, because the more your activities you're getting your kids into, you're now meeting more people and doing different things. And I think too, coming from small towns, like, we didn't have a lot of opportunity, at least in Brockton, Illinois. We didn't have a lot of opportunity for things, but now that we've moved up to Charleston area, we have a few more opportunities. And we want to get our kids into different things to see, because not that I was pushed to do sports, like that's all there was to do. But now that I'm getting older, I'm like, well, I want my kids to play sports, yeah, but I'm not going to push it on them either. Like, I would rather them start learning about like entrepreneurial skills, or I've got my 8-year-old daughter who all she does is read books. I'm like, keep reading books. She's like, I don't really like sports. I'm like, that's fine. Be the president. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But we're not going to, like you said, our biggest job is to raise decent human beings.
Yes. Yeah. Make sure that we put the skill set in our kids and instill the values that we would, want our kids to grow up with. Yes. Sports isn't for every kid. If a kid is really, that's not what they want to do, just try something else. Try something else. I said, don't put them in something that they're going to want to quit in immediately, that type of thing. But, through adversity, if it's not something they like, they're developing teamwork, hard work, they're going to lose. They're going to learn how to have, proper sportsmanship. Just, there's so many things that you can gain through sports, but it doesn't have to be sports. You could learn a lot of those same things in, other activities. So.
Yep. And I think you using the word adversity, we've been learning a lot about adversity training in our home, because my son, he's doing some stuff now that he doesn't want to do, like gymnastics. I don't want to go, which I'm like, I already paid for the month. You're going to finish out the month, but I'm like, this is adversity training. You're going to do some things that you don't want to do at times, and he's having a really hard time now, just even going to school. He's like, he's just going through a season. He's like going through a season of life. And I'm seeing it at a 5-year-old age. And I'm like, this is kind of as bad as I feel for him. He's crying for his mom. I want mommy. I'm like, for the first 3 years, he never did this. But I'm like, this is a season, man. This is kind of cool to witness at a young age, a kid going through this,
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yeah, you got to put them in those situations. I know it's uncomfortable as a parent at times, but nobody wants their child to fail really at anything. But we also can't raise our kids in a culture where it's win at everything, participation trophies. I'm a firm believer, and you have to learn how to take a loss, how to grow, how to dissect that, learn from, okay, what did I do wrong? Let's break that down. How can I learn from that? Because all those become, experience for life.
Yes.
So that.
Very true. And one last thing I want to hit on here is whenever you were at the retreat, so you went through the first structure retreat, was it good?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
man. It was so I just I threw myself in there, like you said. You called me up right away, like, hey man, I got this thing, we're gonna do this. I feel like it was one of those, like you said, and I've got an idea, and I've got the cabin, and I'm pretty sure you worked all day and night the day and week leading up. I think the paint was still drying on the building, man. You guys did an excellent job getting that thing ready, and just getting there. There's anxiety in something like that. We talk to each other like best friends, but at the same time, we don't get to see each other hardly at all. And then, kind of keeping it close to cuff, not telling us really who all was going to be there. so we could kind of
Yeah.
stalk and figure out who it was. Just showing up and literally, I mean, it was such a recharge for me at that time. I just getting there, turning phones off, the activities we were doing, connecting with the other guys. Really, really taking a nap in the middle of the day because I got my butt kicked in a CrossFit workout. It was, and not to mention, all of the Pastor Ian that came, and then Dave doing a little bit of a team building thing there. You tell somebody all these things that you're doing, you're like, man, that just sounds weird. But when you're in it, and you're doing it with these dudes that are just, they're there for the same reason you are. So when you get that many people there for the same reason, it just kind of flowed. And
I thought it did too, because that was our first one. And I didn't ask that as a promotional thing. What I wanted to say was, what really stood out to me during that whole weekend was, and it goes back to your leadership quality. After we did that workout, and you're like, and we're just all, we're all dying. You're like, hey, do you mind if I say a prayer over everybody? I'm like,
yeah,
no, let's do it. And, and just that leadership quality of you, and that, because I didn't want to go hardcore on the faith aspect, because I didn't know where everybody stood. And when you did that, it almost like it opened up the gate, and faith was then involved in the entire retreat after that. And so, dude, I appreciate you just having that.
Yeah, and again, it was one of those things. And I think coming into the weekend, I was kind of the same feeling. I do my daily devotional. I've been absent from a church for a long time. I haven't had that church home, if you will. So I've been doing live church, listening to those sermons by Craig Groeschel, and just kind of getting a touch there. I don't know. It just hit me. Maybe it's because I was near-death experience, but it was something I was nervous about at the time. But at the same time, I was like, what, these guys nobody's here to judge anybody. It's like, I just, it was on my mind. I was like, and it just came out, man. It really did. And it was good. It was moving. I get chills thinking about it. It was really, it's just one of those things that just happened. And, I'm still down that path.
I'm very appreciative of it, because even with the next retreat that we did, we just kept that same tone, and we just kept faith as a big portion of it. And one of the guys 2 weeks after went and got baptized. So, a lot of some of this credit, you got to give the credit where it's due. Yeah, he left the retreat. And I thought we were going to go out in the cold tub and baptize him that night when Pastor Ian was there. But he held off.
That kind of goes to the tune of what we're, just jumped right in. I remember we're all standing around the tub, and you're like, I can't remember who it was. How do you recommend getting into the water? I was just like, dive in, man, just go.
Just dove in. That's awesome. Well, Austin, I tell you what, man, I appreciate you just in general, and I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me tonight and just talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Anytime, man, I'm a call or a text, or anybody in the group can reach out to me too. I'm here as a ear to bend, and if there's anything I can give advice on through my 36 years of life lessons, I'd be happy to shed some of that light to you. So.
Awesome. And Austin, you're a great person to have in this group, and anybody that ever needs anything, just reach out to Austin. He's more than happy to help. So Austin, again, I appreciate it, brother. Have a good night.
All right. You too, brother. Thanks, man. Take care. All right. See you.